You know you've been in a tourist town long enough when the locals start giving you hugs and asking you how you're doing instead of trying to sell you coconuts and surf lessons when you're walking along the beach. So apparently I live here now and I'm okay with that. Hi, my name is Maddie and my life is still kind of a mess, but it's slowly getting better. So if you're new here, hello and welcome. I have been documenting my eating disorder recovery journey for almost a year now, and it has slowly evolved this account into my life and what I'm doing and how I'm doing and trying to figure everything out, what I want to be, where I want to go, who I want to see, jobs, life, and yeah. So about 3 weeks ago, I had a quarter life crisis and took a trip to Costa Rica, where I am right now. So in the past few videos, I've been showing what I've been doing, some adventures I've had, and this video is one that I never thought I would film in a million years. And basically yesterday, I went to Nicaragua for the day.
You serious?
Yeah, I know, right? Just a one-day trip to Nicaragua. So the reason I wanted to film this video is because it was quite a challenge for many reasons, the main one being the eating disorder. So I'm going to talk about that for a second because the trip, I had the opportunity to do this trip through a tour organization, and they picked you up at 4 in the morning, and I did not get back until 11:30 at night. To me, you know, my head was immediately like, well, what am I going to eat? How am I going to exercise? You know, how am I going to act? I'm by myself, so I don't know anybody. And initially my first instinct was like, you can't do it because you can't control your food, you can't control your exercise, you're going to be sitting in a bus for most of the day. But I did it. So this video is how I'm proud of myself for getting through the day and enjoying it as well. So, you know, I brought a lot of snacks. I didn't know what we were going to eat throughout the day, so although I am far in recovery, I still am I have a lot of anxiety about what I'm going to eat. You know, I know what I'm going to eat the next day. I have everything planned. I am still tracking calories to make sure I'm getting enough, so that's something that I had to keep in mind throughout the day. And because I didn't know what I'd be having for dinner, you know, at lunch or breakfast, I had to I wanted to eat what I wanted and enjoy the food, but also my head was kind of like, you can't have too much because if your dinner's big, then you're gonna go over, you're gonna go under, anyway. So this was a really hard eating disorder day, and it was very challenging, but I made it through. So I wanted to document this day to not only show the fun that I had, but also to show that it is possible to kind of push through the eating disorder thoughts. And I guess I'll talk about it a bit at the end, but overall, I'm very glad that I did it, and I'm having a ton of fun. I'm still working, which is great, so I'm still earning money, but at the same time, like, you know, taking a one-day trip to Nicaragua, never in a million years would I have thought I'd be doing that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and check in at the end. Okay, so it's almost 4:30 in the morning. I have been up for a very long time because I could not sleep. Honestly, I'm kind of nervous about crossing the border to Nicaragua and then having to come back to Costa Rica because I had to get another COVID test and then fill out this health pass, and there's quite a few documents that you actually have to fill out for just leaving for like one day. Yeah, I'm excited, but I'm kind of nervous, and it is very early, so I had some coffee and I'm just gonna wait another couple minutes before I go outside to meet the car, transfer, bus. I have no idea what's picking me up. We'll find out. It's an adventure. So this is everything that I'm probably gonna put in my bag. This is all my money with a very important quote. I'm an adult, but not like a real adult. I've got a phone charger, my passport and like extra documents, an old phone that I use for filming if I run out of space, protein bars, although we are getting breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the trip, but just in case I get hungry, AirPods, camera, of course, water bottle, and this is a pack of gum, but fun trick is you actually keep money in it. So if you get robbed, like this gets taken, then I still have extra money, so. Noob! So I was picked up by a little van just after 4:30 in the morning. It was a bit weird because it was still dark and the only other people on the bus didn't speak English, and the guide was not there yet. But I trusted that everything would be fine and just listened to music in the back of the van while also journaling and trying not to think about how I could be actively being kidnapped. We drove until about 6:30 a.m. where we met with another group that would join us. This stop included this lovely washroom that was a really pleasant experience for me. There were about 9 of us in total, as well as the guide, 3 couples from the States and 2 other solo travelers, also from the States actually, and myself. We continued the drive through Costa Rica and headed towards the border. This took almost another 2 hours and my head was starting to get anxious from all the sitting. We eventually arrived and had to get out of the van to walk across the border. This felt a little strange to just walk and very informal but also strict at the same time. On the other side, once we had all made it through, we joined up with another small van that would take us for the rest of the day. We drove past some windmills and sparrows feeding on mosquitoes in a field where we stopped to take some pictures. There were so many frickin' birds, it was insane. We stopped in the first little town for breakfast. It was a small little cafe and we didn't get to choose our order, it was just given to us. In this case, it was a fried plantain, eggs with ham, gallo pinto, which is like beans and rice, and a piece of cheese, which I did not like, but I did eat the rest. This breakfast was a challenge for so many reasons, including the timing, eating what I was served, eating in front of others, and allowing myself to finish what I liked regardless of what I thought the calories were. We then continued through the town to get to our first activity or stop. So far, everything was okay, but there was a lot of sitting and we hadn't really done anything yet. I was starting to freak out about the breakfast that I just had, but told myself that it really does not matter what you ate as long as you're fueled and ready for the day. I knew that we'd have a long day ahead and didn't want my mind to be so preoccupied with the food and calories that I was or wasn't going to be eating. It was a one-of-a-kind experience and I didn't want it to be worried and messed up by my freaking eating disorder. Okay, before we continue, I do want to say a few things about this day just because I didn't do that much filming and I want to talk a lot about some of the stuff we did. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to look at my face while I talk about this.
Oh my god.
But then I'll show you. So the first thing we did was a boat ride through it wasn't an estuary, but we all got in this little boat and drove around these islands that you'll see. And we went to a monkey island where people brought monkeys, I guess, and they've inhabited, I don't know, so you'll see that. And then after we went to Granada, which is the main city in Nicaragua, and it was beautiful. It looked a lot like Antigua, Guatemala. It reminded me of that city. We only got 40 minutes to walk around, which was not enough time, and I could have easily spent a days there. So it was very hot, so we walked around the town, and then we got back in the van and headed to a chocolate museum, which I had not thought we would be doing or known that we would be doing. And this is also where I really want to talk about something. So chocolate museum, obviously there's chocolate. So we got to see, how the beans are grown and what they should look like when they're harvested and what the process looks like and how they extract the butter from the chocolate. And then of course there was taste testing. So immediately I was like, well, you can't taste anything because that's just extra calories. But I thought, no, you're in Nicaragua, you're in a chocolate museum, you are trying the chocolate. So I did. I had a lot of chocolate. Chocolate rum, chocolate tequila, chocolate sangria, chocolate brownies, chocolate nibs, chocolate peanuts, chocolate other stuff, and it was amazing. This day was just a huge challenge. Even the breakfast in and of itself was a challenge. Fried everything. And then lunch, you'll see, it was kind of a replica of the breakfast, except instead of eggs, it was salad, so more fried plantains and more rice. So that breaks a huge rule of mine, which is no doubles. So in the moment, yeah, I was really worried and I didn't want to have the chocolate, but it was a great thing to try. And my neighbor is talking and I don't know if you can hear, so that might be a problem. But to continue, so then after that, then we went to the volcano, which was really great. So we didn't get to hike the top. I've hiked a volcano before, which took over 24 hours, but this you kind of just drove up. He's talking really loud. No, he's not talking. And so, yeah, so we just got to the top and it was beautiful. And it was this giant crater and I thought that it would smell. It didn't smell. I thought that it'd be really hot. It wasn't hot. And then, yeah, so we spent some time at the volcano. And then we went for lunch, which you will see another challenge because I didn't get to order. The only option you have was your protein. So you could choose between fish, pork, beef, chicken, and vegetarian. I was like, you should do vegetarian, but then I was like, no, you don't want vegetarian. I feel like fish. So I had this giant piece of breaded fish, and I ate the whole thing. And then after that, we went to this little market town in the top of the hills, and I got a lovely little necklace for my grandmother, and I think that was it. Yeah, and then we got back in the van, and I think we ended up kind of heading home around 4, so it was like a 6-hour more. No, it was later than 4. I don't know what time it was, but it was very late, and I was really tired. I was sunburnt, I was exhausted, and I was nervous about the food that I'd eaten, and my head was just really getting to me about the food that we'd eaten and not exercising a lot. But I've come so far in my recovery, and I'm so happy that I did that day. And yeah, so you'll see everything, but I just wanted to jump in. Oh, and then at the end of the day, we went back through the border. When we stopped at a gas station, I actually stopped and got a granola bar because I was really hungry, and that was probably about 6. And then at the end of the day, yeah, I made my dinner because I thought we had dinner included, but we didn't. I really hope his voice isn't messing up this video. Also, my hair is like crazy right now. Yeah, so then after we got through the border, then we went back home and I made dinner and ate it and then went straight to bed, which is another rule. I would have never eaten dinner past like 8, and I ate dinner at like 10 and then went right to bed. It was great. Lovely day. Back to the video. After breakfast, we got back in the van and drove through some more small towns. I don't really know what to compare Nicaragua to in terms of other places I visited, but I guess it was kind of like small towns in Guatemala, but with palm trees and more farmland. I was visiting during rainy season, so there was a lot of green around, as well as giant puddles and rivers. Our first activity was this boat ride through some small islands. We got on board, put our life jackets on, and headed out from the dock. It was weird to be on such a big freshwater lake instead of the ocean, although it really did feel like we were going out to sea. The guide was explaining that there were more than 60 islands in the area, and most were owned by rich individuals who weren't from Nicaragua, aka big fancy vacation homes that were used once a year. Then we got to what the locals called Monkey Island, a very small little island where someone brought monkeys years ago, and because they can't swim, are now just living there. I guess tourists and locals feed the monkeys, and I'm glad we didn't because I'm not sure how that checks out ethically. We then got back in the van yet again and drove another 2 hours to Granada. We quickly stopped in a cigar museum and were then driven to the center of the city with the iconic yellow cathedral. Granada to me looked a lot like Antigua, Guatemala, and felt like a different country compared to the rest of what we'd seen. There were a lot of colorful buildings and a very Spanish feel. We were only given 40 minutes to walk around and literally see the whole city in less than an hour, and like I said earlier, I could have easily spent days here. Our final stop in the city was the Chocolate Museum. We were given a tour, but I didn't really film much. This is also where we tried numerous chocolate samples and obviously tried a lot of different types of chocolate. Originally the plan was then to head to lunch, but we were all so full from the chocolate that we changed our plans and went to the volcano first. We were driven to the top, which felt like cheating, but I was really tired and don't know how far I could have hiked anyways. The landscape was evidently very different, and when we got to the top, it was absolutely beautiful. It was called the Messiah Volcano, and it is active. It was cool because you could see lava very faintly. We spent about 20 minutes at the top taking pictures, videos, and looking into the crater. I really liked it at the time because we were the only ones there, which was a really cool experience. We then drove back into town and stopped for lunch. This was another big challenge for me, not only because was I still full from the chocolate, but I also didn't get to choose what I was eating like I said earlier. I only got to choose my protein. I was happy with what we were given though, and did eat everything on my plate, but just didn't film it all. After lunch, we got in the van again and drove for about an hour to this little market village type area up in the hills. There was a great view of the lake, and we got some time to walk around and do some last minute souvenir shopping. The lake was very beautiful, and it was such a picturesque scene, but I guess the whole day was. I was obviously taken aback by the amazing view and tried to just sit in the moment and take in the scenery around me. I then took some time to go through the little stores where I got a necklace for my grandmother. Then back in the van we went, but this time it was to start heading back to the border.
By this time it was already late and we had a long drive ahead of us. I tried to sleep, but I'm one of those people that finds it impossible to sleep in cars and on planes. Although I didn't mind just staring off into the sunset and reminiscing on the great day I just had. We arrived at the border around 8 p.m. and then had to do everything over again, going through customs and security. I didn't really film much towards the end because I was exhausted, but ended up being the last one in the van to be dropped off. It was an incredibly late night and I was really thankful for the day, but could not wait to get home and get something to eat, even though my head was screaming at me for all the things that I ate during the day. I'm very happy that I did the whole thing though, and would highly recommend this tour to anybody.
So yeah, that was Nicaragua. I didn't get back until very late, like 11:30, so I had dinner planned and I didn't film it, but basically I bought chicken that I'd shredded and then had plantains, chicken, a big salad, and then a chocolate bar for dessert that I bought at the chocolate museum factory thing. That was very fun. So I just flipped my chocolate bar over. There's a f***ing maggot in it. Help me. So overall the day was very good, I think. It was challenging. We spent a ton of time in the car and my head was like, you need to get out and exercise, but one day is not going to kill you. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, give it a comment, and let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed it.